Welcome back to our channel, my wonderful friends. It is such a beautiful day to sit down together with a warm cup of coffee and talk about the latest twists in Port Charles. We have so much to unpack today, and I am just bubbling with excitement to share all my feelings with you. I have to tell you, my heart was just in my throat when I watched the latest developments unfold between Jason Morgan, Carly, and Valentin Cassadine. If you have been watching this show as long as I have, you know that the bond between Jason and Carly is something incredibly special. They have been through thick and thin, surviving things that would break any normal friendship into a million pieces. So when Jason saw Carly spending time with Valentin, you could practically see the protective walls slamming down around him. I felt a rush of adrenaline just watching the way Jason positioned himself, standing tall and immovable, silently communicating that nobody gets to Carly without going through him first. It is that classic, unwavering loyalty that has always made me love Jason so much. The meeting between the three of them was nothing short of electric. Goodness gracious, the tension in that room was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. Valentin, with that smooth, dangerous charm of his, always knows exactly how to push people's buttons. But Jason is not a man who gets easily rattled. I loved watching Jason step right up to Valentin, his eyes completely cold and calculating. He did not yell, he did not lose his temper, but the quiet intensity of his interrogation was enough to send shivers down my spine. Jason was demanding answers, trying to peel back the layers of whatever game Valentin is playing. I found myself leaning closer to the screen, completely captivated by the sheer willpower radiating from Jason as he made it crystal clear that he does not trust Valentin any farther than he can throw him. What really fascinated me, though, was the subtle shift in Jason's behavior. He was not just acting as a human shield for Carly, he was actively adjusting his entire strategy. Jason has always been a man of action, but lately, I have noticed him thinking 10 steps ahead, like a grandmaster playing a very dangerous game of chess. He is recalculating his attack on Valentin, looking for the hidden angles and the unseen traps. I could feel the wheels turning in his head. He knows that Valentin is a Cassadine, and Cassadines never do anything without a hidden agenda. Jason's determination to figure out the real threat before it reaches Carly is so admirable, but it also made me worry. When Jason gets this intensely focused on an enemy, he sometimes develops a blind spot to the things happening right in his own backyard. And oh my goodness, that blind spot is exactly where the real heartbreak of this story is taking place. While Jason is pouring all his energy into protecting Carly and outsmarting Valentin, his own son, Danny Morgan, is slipping right through his fingers. As a mother, it just breaks my heart to see a parent and child drifting apart, especially when the child is heading down a dark and dangerous path. Danny is growing up so fast, and he is showing sides of himself that are both impressive and utterly terrifying. He is no longer just a little boy. He is a young man with his own secrets, his own ambitions, and a very dangerous new alliance that left me completely speechless. I could hardly believe my eyes when I realized that Danny has teamed up with Charlotte Cassadine. Just think about that for a moment. A Morgan and a Cassadine joining forces in secret. It feels like a recipe for absolute disaster. Both of these teenagers have grown up in the shadows of some of the most powerful and dangerous families in Port Charles. They have seen things no child should ever see, and now they are using all that inherited cunning to craft a grand plan of their own. I found myself gasping out loud as the pieces fell into place. Charlotte, with her brilliant but complicated mind, and Danny, with his fearless Morgan spirit, are a terrifyingly perfect match. They are brewing up a storm, and the adults have absolutely no idea what is coming. What truly sent chills down my arms was watching how Danny is actively manipulating his own father to protect this grand plan. Danny knows Jason better than almost anyone. He knows exactly how his father thinks, how he reacts, and what makes him tick. So Danny has started deliberately creating messes, acting out, and planting false clues to create an obsession for Jason. He is intentionally giving his father something to chase, a phantom problem to solve, just to keep Jason distracted and out of his and Charlotte's way. It is a brilliant tactical move, but it is also so incredibly sad. Seeing a son use his father's protective instincts against him is a hard pill to swallow. I wanted to reach through the screen and shake Jason to tell him to look closer at his own boy. The emotional toll of this deception is just staggering. Jason is running himself ragged, trying to manage the threat of Valentin, trying to keep Carly safe, and now trying to handle the chaotic distractions Danny is throwing at him. I could see the exhaustion and the frustration building up in Jason's eyes. He thinks he is fighting external enemies, completely unaware that the real sabotage is coming from inside his own home. Every time Danny successfully stalled Jason, buying more precious time for whatever he and Charlotte are plotting, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. You just know that a secret this big, built on this much deception, cannot stay hidden forever. The pressure cooker was building, and I was just waiting for the inevitable explosion. And when that explosion finally began to happen, it was even more intense than I could have ever imagined. The friction between Danny and Jason started to reach a boiling point. Jason, with his sharp instincts, slowly began to realize that things were not adding up. The timeline, the excuses, the sheer convenience of the distractions. Jason is too smart to be fooled forever. Watching the dawn of realization wash over Jason's face was a masterclass in emotional storytelling. You could see the exact moment the hardened mob enforcer faded away, leaving only a deeply wounded father who realizes his son has been playing him for a fool. My heart just ached for him. It is one thing to be betrayed by an enemy, but to be outsmarted and deceived by your own child is a pain I would not wish on anyone. But Danny, bless his heart, is too stubborn to back down. Instead of confessing when he felt his father closing in, he pushed back harder. The clash between these two strong-willed men was like watching two freight trains speeding toward each other on the same track. Jason was demanding the truth, his voice low and dangerous, while Danny stood his ground, refusing to yield an inch. They were pushing each other to the absolute limit, crossing lines that should never be crossed between a parent and a child. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, my hands clasped together, just praying that someone would step back before permanent damage was done. But the Morgan pride is a powerful thing, and neither of them was willing to surrender. Because they pushed everything too far, the situation completely unraveled, leading to a massive, jaw-dropping shock that I am still trying to process. The grand plan that Danny and Charlotte had been so desperately trying to protect finally collided with Jason's relentless pursuit of the truth. When the dust settled, and the reality of what Danny and Charlotte had actually put into motion came to light, it changed everything. It was not just a teenage rebellion. It was a move that shifted the entire landscape of their families. I sat there in stunned silence, completely overwhelmed by the magnitude of what had just happened. The consequences of this clash are going to ripple through Port Charles for a very long time, and I honestly do not know how Jason and Danny will ever repair the fracture in their relationship. Reflecting on all of this, I am just struck by the tragic beauty of these family dynamics. We spend our whole lives trying to protect our children from the mistakes we made, only to watch them invent entirely new ways to break our hearts. Jason has spent his entire life trying to shield the people he loves from the darkness of his world, yet that very darkness has somehow taken root in his own son. And Carly, who has always been the center of Jason's protective universe, is entirely unaware that her best friend's dedication to her safety might have cost him his bond with his boy. It is a tangled, messy, beautiful web of love, loyalty, and betrayal, and it is exactly why I have loved this show for so many years. I cannot wait to see where this goes next. How will Valentin use this family fracture to his advantage? What exactly is the final goal of Danny and Charlotte's grand plan? And most importantly, can a father's love survive this kind of calculated betrayal? I will be watching every single second, holding my breath, and praying for these characters like they are my own family. Thank you so much for letting me pour my heart out today and share these intense feelings with you. Until next time, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones a little tighter, and keep watching the drama unfold.